I have edited hundreds of videos in Adobe Premiere Pro. By learning what I will tell you and show you in this video, even a beginner can start editing videos. Using this knowledge, you can start even taking your first freelance orders and making money online. All links to useful resources that I mentioned in the video, as well as the equipment that I use, are in the description. And if you want to learn how to edit even better, there is a link to a great course that can help you with that. And now, let's get started right away.
Register on the Adobe website, download and install Adobe Creative Cloud, and then Premiere Pro, and open it. On the main screen, click New Project, and enter the project name. Choose the location of the project file. After that, click Create. The project is now created. Now let's add the materials we need. For convenience, I create 5 folders: video, B-rolls, sound effects, music, pictures. In each folder, simply drag the materials according to the name. You can add new materials at any time during work, so don't be afraid that you'll forget something. Of course, when working on large projects, it's not always possible to structure everything perfectly. New ideas and materials are constantly being added, and the file system may be chaotic. But don't forget that chaos is part of the creative process. So all the main materials are already in the project. Let's move on to creating a sequence on which the video will be composed. Click on the New Item button, Sequence. By default, I choose these sequence settings. In general, these settings can be changed and personalized immediately after creating the sequence or during work with it. I leave the standard size of 1920 by 1080 and 30 frames per second, which is enough for a good result. Now, let's take a look at the program interface. It consists of panels that are organized in a layout and saved as a workspace. Premiere Pro has 15 standard workspaces. Most work environments are based on specific tasks. The first thing you will see when you have just installed the program is the Learning workspace. It has the same set of panels as Essentials, but additionally, there's a Learning panel with various Adobe tutorials that also cover the basic functions for a beginner, but I personally have never used these tutorials. Essentials. They contain the main panels that are needed, without which you definitely will not be able to work. Vertical. As the name suggests, it is designed for working with vertical videos, for example, Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. Editing. A workspace that has most of the panels needed for editing. I used this workspace when I first started working with Premiere Pro. Of course, it has some drawbacks, which I fixed when I created my personal workspace, which I'll talk about a little later. Color, audio, captions, and graphic. I have content according to their names. With each year of working in the program, my approach to work changes and improves. Currently, I have reached such a workspace in which I have everything necessary for working on my projects from the beginning all the way to the very end. Now, I'll show you how to create your own workspace and which panels I consider the most necessary. We will use the editing workspace as a basis. Panels can simply be taken and dragged where you need them. If you have more than one monitor, panels can be placed on multiple monitors, but I'm used to working with just one monitor. I divide the workspace into 4 parts. At the bottom, across the entire width of the screen, I place the timeline. In the upper part, in the center, I place the video preview window and also the source panel, which allows you to view the materials without inserting them into the timeline. On the left, I place the project file system, the effects control panel, which shows you all the properties of the objects you have selected on the timeline. All necessary panels can be added to the workspace from the drop-down list under the Window button. Just click on the name of the required panel, and it appears on your workspace. Audio track mixer and essential sound for working with sound. On the right side, I have panels like Effects, which contains all the standard Adobe effects as well as your personally created or added presets with various effects. Essential Graphics, a panel needed for setting up graphics in your project. You can also add ready-made templates of various animated graphics here. I'll tell you later in this video how to do it and where to download them from. And the last main panel I use is Lumetri Color, which is needed for color correction in your video. And if you set everything up correctly, the picture can be made much more interesting and pleasant for the viewer. After you've set up the workspace, you need to save it so that you do not have to set it up again each time. Select the Save As New Workspace option, enter a name, and that's it. Our workspace is ready. If you've changed something and want to save it to your workspace, just click Save Changes to this workspace. If you accidentally changed the workspace but want to return to the basic settings, click the Reset to Saved Layout button in this menu. Now that you've prepared files in a convenient workspace, you can start editing the video itself. First, you need to add materials to the timeline. The standard timeline consists of 3 video tracks and 3 audio tracks. However, the number of tracks is not limited. You can also add new tracks through the drop-down list by clicking on one of the tracks in the left part of the timeline and selecting the Add Track option. To add materials to the timeline, select the video in the file system and simply drag it onto the track. My sequence is full HD, but the materials are shot in 4K, so the video needs to be downsized. To avoid doing this manually, right-click on the clip and select Set to Frame Size. As you can see, The video now fits the sequence size. In effect controls, the scale value has changed from 100 to 50, but I would make it a bit larger, so I changed the value to 60. Now, using the slider, you can review the video and select the necessary part. Take the razor tool and cut the clip into 3 parts, leaving the required part in the center. Click the delete key on the keyboard. To speed up the editing process for removing unnecessary parts of the video at the beginning or the end, place the slider at the moment when the required frame moment ends and press the W key on the keyboard, and you'll see that the part of the frame to the right of the slider is completely deleted, and the adjacent frame is automatically pulled to the required moment. The same can be done to remove a piece at the beginning of the frame. And again, set the slider, press the Q key, and the part of the frame to the left of the slider is deleted. Also, to remove an unnecessary card, you can use the combination Shift plus Delete. This combination deletes the frame and pulls the entire timeline without leaving gaps in place of the deleted frame. In the same way, using these tools, you can cut out pauses in the video to make it more dynamic. Cut all other main frames of the video. Now we have sudden jumps and moments where pauses were removed. To mitigate this, let's create transitions with changes in scale. In the first frame, I leave the scale at 60. In the next one, I change it to 90 and slightly lower the video by changing the position property. Now we copy these settings, right-click to open the context menu and click Copy. Then we transfer these settings to every other frame using the Paste button. There, it's done. Now the frame change is not so abrupt.
Number 4. Stock photography. If you have it on.
Also, for this video, I shot additional B-roll footage. If you don't have pre-recorded videos, you can use stock materials from free websites like Pexels or Pixabay, which have large collections of materials on various topics. Just type in the search what you need and choose the frames that best suit your video. If you're willing to pay for higher quality materials, you can buy a subscription on one of the websites. For example, I use Envato Elements, Storyblocks, and Motion Array. On these websites, in addition to high quality footage, you can download licensed music, sound effects, and graphic templates for your videos. I left links to all the resources in the description under this video. B-rolls are needed for additional visualization and creating an atmosphere in the video. I'll add them to the video in a different way using the source panel. In the file system, double-click on the video, and you can see it in this panel. In the player, you can review the video and choose which part you need. When you have decided on the part, place the slider at the beginning of this part and click the Mark In button. Then move the slider to the end of the required episode and click Mark Out. You can see the selected area on the timeline. If necessary, you can edit it. Move it along the timeline, make it longer or shorter. Now on the sequence timeline, place the slider at the moment where this frame should be and click the Insert button. The selected frames are placed in the required position, shifting all the frames on the side to the right. If necessary, you can extract only video or sound from the recorded frames through the source panel. Click on Drag Only Video and drag it onto the timeline. In the same way, place all other B-rolls in our video. The foundation for the video is ready. Previously, I showed you the razor tool, but besides that, we can see many other interesting and useful icons on the toolbar. I want to tell you about the most commonly used tools and show you how they work. The selection tool is the primary tool for selecting clips, menu items, and other objects in the user interface. The track selection tool helps select all the clips to the right or left of the cursor in an episode. Here we have 2 tools, but they are hidden under each other. To select the other tool, you need to press the left mouse button with the Alt key pressed. The same should be done to switch back to the previous tool. To select the desired elements using the track selection tool, click on the timeline on the first frame, and you'll see that all the following frames are also selected. Now, you can move this entire group along the timeline. With the Ripple Edit tool, you can increase or decrease a frame without manually shifting the other video elements. You adjust one part of the video and everything else automatically adjusts to your actions. The Rolling Edit tool performs trimming from the in point of one clip and the out point of another clip without changing the overall duration of the 2 clips. The Rate Stretch tool helps shorten or extend a clip on the timeline by speeding it up or slowing it down. As we already know, the razor tool is used to cut materials on the timeline. The zoom tool is used to zoom in or out of the timeline for convenient work. However, you can replace this function simply by pressing the Alt plus mouse wheel forward to zoom in and backward to zoom out on the timeline. The Type Text tool is used to create text graphics, which I'll talk about later in the video. Hotkeys are a very important part of quick video editing. To save time and avoid manually clicking on the necessary tools every time, each tool has its own hotkeys. To see the assigned key for each tool, click on Edit Keyboard Shortcuts. In this menu, you can view and edit the list of all hotkeys for different tools and functions. This is how the basic key combination looks in the program. This is the combination that I use. To create your own keyboard shortcut, customize the keys to your convenience. Click Save As and enter any name. Now you just need to edit multiple videos without forgetting about the hotkeys, and then you'll press them without thinking, significantly saving your time. Very often in editing, I use the speed/duration panel. To invoke it, right-click on a timeline element and select the corresponding option from the context menu. 100% is the normal video speed. The lower the percentage, the slower the video, and the higher the percentage, the faster the video will be. If you want to play the video in the opposite direction, you can choose reverse speed. If you enable the ripple edit toggle, all neighboring frames will shift accordingly after changing the speed of the frame you accelerated or decelerated. I want to change the direction of movement at this moment, so let's activate reverse speed and click OK. As I mentioned earlier, color correction can really make the image much more cinematic and interesting for the viewer. Select the first frame you want to edit. Open the Lumetri color panel. The basic settings will be sufficient to start with. Using the controls in the basic correction section, you can adjust a video clip that is too dark or too bright to adjust the color tone, hue or saturation, and brightness, exposure, and contrast. Drag the slider until you achieve the desired result. You can also enter a specific value in the field next to the slider. In this video, the main frames were shot with set lighting, so the colors already look good. However, the B-roll footage was captured with a phone, so we'll adjust the colors for those. You can simply click the auto button to get a result quickly. It's the simplest and fastest option, but in most cases the colors may not turn out as you want. Therefore, I adjust some settings manually. Set the contrast to the default value of 0 by double-clicking the slider with the left mouse button. To make the video tone deeper, I set the value to -10 for shadows and blacks. That looks better. To apply these adjustments to other frames, go to the Effect Controls panel and copy the Lumetri color property by right-clicking on it or using the Ctrl+C keyboard shortcut. Now go to another frame and paste the property in the same way, either through the context menu or using the Ctrl+V keyboard shortcut. Do the same for all other frames. If necessary, adjust the settings individually so that all frames have a similar tone. Effects can be applied to multiple frames at once. To do this, create an adjustment layer. Click on the project panel. Select New Item and choose Adjustment Layer. Drag the created element onto the timeline above all the videos. Stretch it to the full width. Go to the Lumetri color panel. I want to apply these curve settings to all frames. They will add depth to the shots and reduce the amount of detail in the background. As we can see, this effect is applied to all frames that are located under the adjustment layer. Color correction is complete. Let's move on to the Effects panel. Here we have these 4 basic folders. Audio effects contain all the standard filters for audio tracks. I'll explain the most essential effects a little bit later. Audio transitions include only 3 transitions for sounds. Video effects encompass various filters and effects for videos. There are many basic effects that are standard in the program, but for most of my basic editing needs, I use several of them. Video transitions offer all the basic options for video transitions. There are plenty of them, but for an interesting basic montage, I mainly use the cross dissolve and film dissolve. For convenient editing, I've created my own set of essential effects. To create it, simply click on New Custom Bin. Name the folder, for example, My Effects. Now you can drag all the effects you need into this folder. This is what my set of most frequently used effects looks like. Quality sound is an important part of a good video. Most often, I use a filter that removes noise from the recording. You can simply take the denoise effect and drag it onto the audio track. The Effect Control panel will show you this effect, and you can adjust it for your audio track. But the default settings usually work well in most cases. Of course, you can manually add effects to each segment, but it's much more convenient to edit the entire audio track at once. For this, we use the Audio Track Mixer panel. With its help, you can adjust the properties of the entire audio track. In this menu, you can choose any effect, adjust the volume, and all the settings will be applied to all the clips on the corresponding track. This method significantly simplifies video editing and saves you time. Nowadays, you can significantly improve the sound with just a few clicks using artificial intelligence. This is where the free Enhanced Speech utility from Adobe can help us. First, we need to export the voice for enhancement. In our project, click the Export button. Choose the waveform audio format. Specify the folder where you want to save the voice. Export it. Now open Enhance in your browser. The link is provided in the video description. Upload the exported voice to the website. Wait a few minutes and you'll get a clean, studio quality recording for our video. Of course, the result depends upon the quality of the original recording, but in any case, we get good results with minimal time investment. Drag the finalized audio into the project and place it on the track. For clarity, let's compare the 2 audio tracks.
5 ways to make money online. Number 1, YouTube channel. In today's 5 ways to make money online. Number 1, YouTube channel.
I'll keep the original sound just in case we need to edit something, but I'll mute the track with the original sound by pressing the mute track button next to it. That's it. The sound in our video is ready. Let's move on to background music. You can find free music in the YouTube audio library, which contains all the licensed free melodies that you won't have any problems with if you upload your video to YouTube. You can also find music on paid websites like Epidemic Sound, Artlist, or Storyblocks, Envato Elements, Motion Array, which I mentioned earlier. If you have a subscription to any of these sites, you have the right to use all the music and other elements available there, and if necessary, they can provide you with all the licensing files. For my video, I've selected this melody. I drag it onto the audio track. In the audio track mixer panel, I decrease the volume to -25 dB. This is to ensure that the melody doesn't overpower the voice and plays in the background.
It can bring you a 5 or even 6 figure.
I also often use the remix tool. You can find it here. It helps to shorten or extend the melody and automatically creates smooth transitions. I drag the slider, wait a few seconds, and here's the result. The melody is the desired length, and I didn't have to manually cut or edit anything. You can further adjust the properties of the remix in the Essential Sound panel, but I'll keep these settings basic in this case. Of course, your story can be visualized more with the help of text. First, we need to determine which phrases you would like to emphasize. I would like to highlight the beginning of each earning method. Let's move to the moment where the first method is mentioned. We choose the text tool. Hover the cursor directly over the video, and then click the left mouse button. Enter the desired text. To adjust it, go to the Essential Graphics panel. Here, we see many settings for the text. I changed the font to Poppins Bold, but you can choose any other font. I adjust the font size and leave the color white. I position the text in the center of the screen using Align Center horizontally. I lower it slightly down so it doesn't overlap the face. I also often add a shadow to graphic elements in the video to separate them more from the background. You can add a shadow directly in this menu, but I usually add the drop shadow effect. The text is ready, but its abrupt appearance on the screen doesn't look very good, so let's add animations. Go to the Effect Controls panel. From the Effects panel, drag the Transform effect here. This effect allows you to change the position and size of the object. I want this text to fly in from the bottom of the screen. To do this, in the Position Properties, a few seconds from the beginning, add a keyframe that captures the desired position of the text. Now go to the very beginning and change the Y position of the text by approximately 1200. As we can see, the keyframe was automatically added here. Do the same at the end, a couple of seconds before the end. Add a keyframe with the base position, and at the end, change the Y position of the text again so it disappears from the screen. Play the video, and as we can see, we already have animation, but to add some smoothness to it, select both keyframes and right-click. Choose Temporal Interpolation. Easy out. Now the animation looks smooth. To copy the text to other moments, simply press the Alt key on the keyboard and drag the text to the timeline to the desired position. Now replace the text with the necessary one here. Repeat the same with other parts where text visualization is needed. I've shown you only the basics, but you can create something really interesting using these properties. To make the animations look more natural, let's add sounds when the text enters and exits the frame. I chose this sound. Drag it onto the timeline. Copy it and place it at the end of the animation again. Make the soundtrack for animations a bit quieter, and here's what we've got.
Number 1, YouTube channel.
Repeat the same with the other animations. Of course, in our world, much has already been done for us. And for video editing, there are many ready-made templates that help achieve good results while saving time. Many useful and free templates can be found on the website mixit.co, and even more high-quality templates can be obtained with a subscription to one of the sites I mentioned earlier. Links to all the resources are provided in the video description. Ready-made templates are divided into two types, project and Mogurt files. A project is a regular Premiere Pro file that contains prepared and customized graphics by the author. From this project, I want to take a ready-made transition between frames. Find the necessary materials, copy them using the Ctrl+C key combination, go to our project and paste the copied content onto the timeline. Drag it into the desired position, and the transition's ready. As for the Mogurt files, or motion graphic templates, these are easily editable templates specifically created in After Effects or Premiere Pro. They are ready-made animated graphics packaged in templates with user-friendly control elements. To add such graphics to a video, download the files you need. Open the Essential Graphics panel, drag the downloaded template into this panel, and then simply drag it onto the timeline. Now click on it on the timeline, and in the Edit menu, its settings will appear. Here you can change all the properties added by template author. For text templates, these are mainly text size, font, color, and placement. Depending on the template, these settings may vary. For our video, I chose this template. Adjust it to fit the video, and And here is the result.
5 ways to make money online.
Of course, basic functions in Premiere Pro may not always be sufficient for achieving great results, so I use additional extensions for my work. There are various extensions available that can assist in different stages of editing. In my work, I often use Atom X and Premiere Composer. They offer a wide range of transitions, text animations, effects, and many other templates that can be handy for working on different projects. For this video, I'm using transitions from the basic Atom X pack. I simply choose the ones I need and drag them onto the cut between 2 frames. And here's what we have. You can test various extensions that may be useful for your video work. It's very beneficial. I'm finalizing all the details in this video. It's crucial to showcase creativity during the editing process to ensure an engaging outcome. Once you have completed the entire editing process and are satisfied with the result, you need to save it. Click on the Export button. Here, you choose a preset for your video. Typically, I use high-quality 1080p or YouTube 1080p. Premiere Pro offers many standard presets for exporting video or audio. You can see them by clicking on the More Presets button, where you can scroll through and explore all the available preset configurations, or you can use the search function to find the one you need. The most commonly used presets are highlighted with a star and will be displayed in the export screen list. For this video, I chose the high-quality 1080p preset. Select the folder where I want to save the video and click on Export. Now all that's left is to wait for the export process to finish. The export time depends on the power of your computer, the length of the video, and the complexity of the project with various graphical elements. It'll take a couple of minutes for me. Our video is ready. Here's the result of our work.
5 ways to make money online. Number 1, YouTube channel. In today's world, your YouTube channel can bring you a 5 or even 6-figure income a year. Number 2, ebook. If you have expertise in a particular area, you can write ebook and sell it online. Number 3, online courses. People learn all the time. If you can create online course that helps people, why do not do it? You can sell it and make money. Number 4, stock photography. If you have a talent for photography, you can sell your photos on stock websites and earn royalties each time someone downloads your photo. Number 5, video editing. You can offer your video editing services on websites such as Fiverr, Upwork, etc. like I do and make thousands of dollars.
That's how this great tutorial turned out. I highly recommend watching this video because I'm confident it will be very helpful for you. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next videos.